Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2. And today I'm going to be giving you part 3 of What If Naruto Had the Rarest Bloodline. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also, stay in tune for a new episode over on Anime King and Anime King 3, which I do hope that you guys enjoy. And remember, if you're new, to go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all for helping and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying talking back to all of you guys. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last time we left off, both Naruto and Sawaki made their way as they end up slaughtering all of the members that belong to the royal clan of Daimyo. With her bloodline and with his bloodline, they end up wiping out all of the members and they end that royal line as Naruto took over Darkness Country. The people there got back hope as everyone that wasn't there was exiled from the village. And the people that didn't want to be put out, they were butchered and their bodies sent back towards the eastern line, some of them belonging to Konoha. So with that, years passed, 6 years in fact, as Naruto has been working in his country, everything has changed in a land of darkness. Many people have set their eyes on the country as it was growing in wealth, and everything was boosting, the economy was rising, as the line of darkness had some rare material, the rarest materials. And people wanted it, but Naruto had created a barrier around the entire place. Soon enough, he will create a wall of pure darkness so that no one could ever come through. As he finally decided to open his line towards the Uzumakis, as the man has been asking for an ally for a while now, but he wasn't ready yet as he made his way there along with Sawaki. The man was so generous, just like the Uzumakis are, as the man treated Naruto like his living brother. The both of them were looking out for the well-being of their village, not looking out for any selfish means, so things went along great. At Konoha, as the Kurama clan that was taken away from darkness, as Hiruzen wanted to make sure that they were still kept in line, but the leader, she didn't give a damn about Hiruzen. Now knowing that there was one true leader of darkness and his name was Naruto, she respected the man and he was a leader. But Hiruzen told her that she sworn an alliance to Konoha, but she never did. Her clan was just sold out to Konoha, as it wasn't like Hiruzen could do anything because he was a beast of pure mayhem that the Kurama clan kept under control. And if he ever tried anything against them, that beast would be let loose. Hiruzen was having a lot of trouble at the moment as the girl ended up leaving. He had sent Orochimaru and Tsunade to go handle the problem. Jiraiya was currently off with his new protege, Minato. The boy was growing in skills day by day, and Hiruzen could see a bright future for him. But regarding the Darkness Country, things were not looking so well, as the leader of the Uzumaki gave Naruto a very expensive, crafted tanto, as Naruto promised to make it up to him once he came to the island, as the man was happy about that as their trading agreement was sealed. So with that, Naruto made his way back, as he was confronted by the two Sanins, Tsunade, showing no respect at all as Naruto and Sawaki was the only one in there. She still saw him as the same brat that Orochimaru trained. Orochimaru said that a lot of people was after Naruto land. So, Hiruzen has decided to put him under his protection as long as they get half of their income. And everything else, Orochimaru already knew what was coming as Naruto told him to tell Hiruzen to go and screw himself and get the hell out of his country. Orochimaru wasted no time and act, and so did Tsunade. And that was the last spot we left off, guys. So yeah, let's begin this new episode without any further delay. Now, get the hell out of my country, said Naruto, as he turned his back and started to walk. Sawaki started to walk behind him, as Naruto then paused, as he glanced over his shoulder. Do you really want to do that, he asks. In a burst of speed, Orochimaru had slid her over to Naruto and wrapped his snake, transformed arms over his ex-student, his black and golden eyes shining as his jaw unhinged, his neck, his elongated neck wrapping around Naruto, his fangs ready to bite in the back of Naruto's neck. It happened so quickly. Orochimaru hits as his eyes curve. Assassination is then, he thought. Your white snake sage form is truly something to fear, old man, said Naruto. Orochimaru hissed, in appreciation for the compliment and also at the shock at his age. I bet you're gonna try to swallow me whole and imitate me, huh? Sell dark to Konoha once again. The position that Orochimaru was in, Naruto was unable to escape. Orochimaru's fangs was an inch away from his neck, and his sage art chakra flowing through him would allow him to prevent Naruto from bursting into smoke that easily. You're forgetting someone, said Naruto. Tsunade has her covered, Orochimaru said. Does she really? Naruto asks. Orochimaru's eyes bulged when he felt a small poke in his side. Sawaki, her eyes emotionless as ever, held a senbon with red liquid inside right to the man's torso and one under Tsunade's chin. Tsunade stood on her toes, trying not to get poked by the lethal medical needle. Her teeth was grit in frustration as she suppressed her breathing slowly, as if she moved even an inch it would poke into her, so she did not. You have two options, the leader of darkness said, as they stood in hell, both sounding by their life. A drop of sweat rolled down Orochimaru's face as a deadly sharp needle poked further into his side. If that needle, with Sawaki blood inside, entered Orochimaru, sage or not, he was a dead man. Tsunade seemed to notice this as well. They only knew of the Kikigenkai, as it was one of the rarest on the planet, and they knew of Sawaki's reputation as well, as the high A rank was as infamous as her teacher. She wasn't called the Vampire Empress for nothing either, said Naruto. You let me go. He was calm, not even a bit frazzled. Or, said Naruto, you don't let me go and risk having your precious village razed to the ground by your own hands. Sawaki was ready, as the moment anything happened, she was gonna plunge the needles forward. Despite the sage chakra coming from Orochimaru, thin black mist started to leave Naruto's body, and his features started to darken. Orochimaru realized something at that moment. His ex-student had grown a lot. 13-year-old Naruto was very different from 24-year-old Naruto. You have to the count of 2 to let me go, said Naruto, as the building started to shake. Dark, killer intent leaked from him like waves. Tsunade felt her blood going cold, her skin pale. Orochimaru felt like a weight had settled down in his throat. He could not breathe at all. His nature energy still wrapped, but the fear that set into him, it wrapped around his brain, squeezing his senses. He couldn't see. The smoke from Naruto filled the entire place, but never escaping outside to inform the others. He couldn't hear. There was just nothing, like all sound was erased. His tongue flicked out as he tasted the air, and he tasted nothing. This Naruto was very, very much different than the one that he knew. Sawaki could not feel the careful, suppressed killing intent of her master rage, because she was a friend. She could not feel it as it was aimed towards the other two. One, said Naruto. Orochimaru quickly unwrapped himself from Naruto, as Sawaki kept the needle on Orochimaru at all times. As Naruto snapped his finger, the smoke seeping back into his body, rushing into him. Assassination mission failed, Orochimaru thought. The mission was always kill Naruto and pose as him as the leader of Dark. But Orochimaru, feeling some pity for him, wanted to give Naruto a chance to save his life. He knew that Naruto would never agree to the third terms. He wanted to say that he saved him because he was a student. But Orochimaru believed that a talent like Naruto should never be snuffed out. But still, Dark Border has been impenetrable. The ninjas that were patrolling the border was quite infamous, but Konoha was still a great power. They were younger than Darkness, yes, no one could deny that, but they were more specialized than any other nation, country, or village. They weren't the strongest hidden village for nothing. If we go back to Konoha, Orochimaru said, with a smile on his face, and we fail to provide a correct chain of numbers and password to the gatekeepers, then they would automatically assume that we're under her control, said Orochimaru, as he glanced towards Sawaki, as he knew about her bloodline after all. If she somehow figure out the code, we will not be able to enter the village once they figure out an unwanted entity in our blood. And my snakes and her slug will instantly know that something is off with our blood and activate a seals on our body to take us down. I see. You came prepared to die, said Naruto. The mission to Darkness Country was off the record. No one was aware of them exiting the village. The Hokage was ready with an excuse about sending them on a different mission, a location. And Jiraiya could be the witness. So if they were to fall here in darkness, Konoha could send an attack team and its allies to raid Darkness with everything they have. Darkness was powerful, but against Konoha and all of his force and all of his allied nations, Orochimaru knew that it would not stand up forever. But you're forgetting something again, Orochimaru. And what is that? Lord Naruto, Orochimaru said. Naruto simply smiled. I got all of this on video. Orochimaru's eyes snapped around, searching the small hut, as both him and Tsunade saw a small glint towards the wall. Naruto chuckled deeply. Did you think that we were so poor not to be able to afford security cameras? Darkness wasn't poor, not by a long shot. No country, no nation would stay alive to Konoha after this, as they were already, messed up in the Second Great Shinobi War. Villages like the Sand, Waterfall, Tea, and Tree would pull out of the alliance once they saw the video proof of them threatening and trying to assassinate a village leader to get what they want. Konoha always tried to play like it was the village of peace, but now all of this was on camera. And without those villages back in Konoha, their strength was greatly weakened. I like your confidence, Orochimaru. It's so entertaining to see how you plan this covered mission, but how perfectly it fall apart because Konoha looked down on my country. Still, Naruto couldn't have his country fight another war, especially with the Uzi alliance still fresh and prime with the potential. The trauma of the last civil war was still on most of their minds. There was also many wonderful plans that Naruto and Torun had in respect for the Dark Whirlpool Alliance. He didn't want to throw all that development away for another war. Orochimaru started to sweat as he realized they were caught. Naruto grabbed him by the front of his shirt as blue eyes stared deeply into golden eyes. Naruto was about the same height as Orochimaru, so there wasn't much of an issue. The issue is that he and Tsunade might die over the greediness of the hidden leaf. The Senbon poking the side of Orochimaru's stomach slipped into Sawaki's sleeve. Tell your Hokage, said Naruto, his voice low as he spoke. If any Konoha ninjas come near my border, I will have them executed on the spot. They will be used as sports for the animals in the dark forest. Their blood will be used as nurture for the saplings. Torture, agony, mayhem, death. That was all that Orochimaru saw within Naruto's eyes. There will be no mercy. His voice dark and demonic. Despite the chilling feeling, Orochimaru smirked, even though his smile was a bit shaky. And if your Hokage is persistent, if he truly wants war, then I will be the one to have his head, said Naruto. There was nothing after death by his hand, as he promised that the Hokage continued to push this. He would ease him into the void of nothingness, the void of no escape. Sawaki removed her other Senbon, putting it back with a muffled click. As Naruto's voice returned back to normal, as he picked up his hat and placed on his head. Make sure you deliver my message, he said. Sawaki hurried after him, not even giving his son needs another glance. Time skip. At the cafe, black coffee, no sugar, no cream. He looked towards his student. Green tea with honey, please, she said. Right away, my lord, madam, the waitress said, as she made her way off. Oh, and some hot buns too. We haven't had breakfast yet. Of course, sir, she said. It was 10 in the morning and they have just returned from their disastrous meeting with the Leaf Envoy. As Naruto turned towards her, "Your reaction time was great. Well done," he said. She bobbed her head appreciatively, hiding her glowing red eyes. "Thank you, Sensei," she said. She started setting some items on the table as they were in their own boot. Pot, ink with ink inside, brush, scrolls. As she looked at her watch, "I'm positive that you would have handled it fine, even if I wasn't there," she said. It would have been some trouble escaping Orochimaru's snake form. Naruto shrugged as he picked up the brush. "What do we have today?" he asked. "The Daimyo of River sent you another letter, the fourth one, that he want the Dark River Alliance to stress more on trade, but military and defense can be a secondary issue. He also said that he won't be able to come himself because of his sickness, so he will be sending his eldest son for the Alliance talk. He has also invited you to the River Festival, an annual thing, next month. His son will formally invite you when he arrives." As she was saying this, she was pointing it out in the letter where he had wrote it. "Tell him that I'm saddened that he's ill, and I wish for a quick recovery for him as soon as possible. I do not mind a primary, trade-based alliance, because I can see an active trade between Darkness and River Country, on mutual advantage. His son is welcome, and I will have to hold my answer to his invitation for later, because I'm not sure if I'll be free by then. A few of my ninjas will be at the border waiting." Sawaki jot down what he told her. She would expand it into a letter later on. The curtain of the booth opened up as a waitress came in. She placed on the tray with the coffee and tea and the hot buns. She placed them away from the scroll. "We'll be here for about an hour. Please make sure we're not disturbed." "Take as much time as you want, my lord," she said. And with that, she left. Naruto turned back to his student. "Send a message to Shiroku Haku and Kin Gedo. Those men are two clan heads from the northern clan that had two bloodlines that specialize in defense. Tell them to start increasing our border security. Tell them that we're pushing the day to cut off our borders from non-allies." Sawaki left delivered the message, leaving Naruto to his thoughts. The border was powered by Naruto's smoke release, an array of seals from Fuinjutsu specialist clans. But that was not permanent and was not 100% seeing that people could still pass through. After all, they had different people coming from Uzu and other places that they were starting to ally with. After a good border patrol check, they were able to come in. But now that has to change, seeing that Konoha was stirring up problems. Naruto had no other choice but to create a barrier with the support of the two defensive clans. It was going to be a wall across the border of the country, from west to east, thousands and thousands of miles long, and they would have intersection and opening that led into the major road of Dark Country. These will be large gates, manned by his ninjas, to carefully check those that enter the country. The Dark Forest wouldn't be protected by the wall, seeing that the Dark Forest itself is a defensive measure. Dark citizens and Uzu's citizens, and also soon-to-be allied nations, will be given a special painless tattoo on the back of their hand to show to the gatekeepers when they want to enter and leave the country. The seal tattoo will be verified by gatekeepers and an invisible barrier that will check it as they pass through. Anyone that had a fake tattoo or somehow teared from the skin of the wearer will be notified immediately and they will be taken out. He wasn't going to take any chance with any other village, especially Konoha, not when they still have a lot to do. The wall will prevent any ambush attacks or surprise attacks, and prevent anyone from setting up a criminal underground in Naruto country. Sawaki returned 10 minutes later, after sending a messenger eagle to the two northern clans that will start the constructions on the wall, and the Chico clan will create the seals to place on the walls, and also they would create the tattoos. The defense clan will start the construction, while the Ink clan started the design for the seals. They did not question the command, not why their leader had pushed forward the date so suddenly, or what was going on. They just started. The Ink clan will be reporting to Sawaki weekly on their progress. From Naruto investigation, Sawaki was from the Ink clan. Her parents are under a small subdivision of the clan. Instead of manipulating ink and controlling it, they were able to manipulate blood. The majority of the blood manipulators were wiped out by the royal clan. A couple of key shinobis were only able to aid Sawaki and her parents escape from the attack, and they brought them towards the outskirts of the hidden rain, away from the warfare. That is where Naruto first met Sawaki. Sawaki, or as she was known in the bingo books, as Blood. She was a very special case. Both of her parents were civilians. They were still blood users, but until she met her fellow Dark Country refugees, she wanted to be a civilian as well. Orochimaru never got to see what Sawaki can fully do, seeing that Naruto has put his foot down, that she wouldn't get involved in Orochimaru training. But Orochimaru knew the basic of what she could do, control her blood. But he was wrong. It was much more than that. Like what her main clan could do with their ink. Sawaki could use her blood to create various weapons and tools, as long as it was outside of her body. While the blood was inside of her body, she could use it to strengthen her muscles, harden her skin. She could also shoot up her adrenaline and increase her speed and strength for a period of time. This would have easily killed anyone else, but for someone who can manipulate her blood, she could easily filter away the excess to save it for later use. She also had control whether or not the blood outside of her body would clog. Naruto had trained her to replenish a set of senbons that she could refill with her blood and use them as weapons. Once those needles stabbed into the target, she would use the blood to overtake your blood cells and completely overrode your system, and that person will become an extension of Sawaki's will, a human puppet that she could control with a thought. She could use them to fight their comrades. She could destroy their organs inside of them in an instant, rapidly have her blood destroy their organs. She could send them behind enemy lines, use them as spies. She could even take control of their chakra. But with the chakra base, this would take a toll on her, so Naruto instructed her to do it only when she had no choice. Having her blood ready in senbons, it was better than slitting her wrist on the battlefield to allow some of her blood to leak out. That will take too much time. She wasn't a sensor, but she can pick up her target's blood. She could smell it through the air. Even if it was in their body, she could tell their heart rate and how the blood was flowing. As she unclipped her half-face mask and read the letters from the Kazekage and the Mizukage, there was something else that was linked to her abilities. Her teeth, her pristine, sharp, needle-like canines. She could extend them to be 1.5 inches long, and no less sharp and lethal. As Naruto once watched her suck the blood out of a stone kunoichi until there was nothing left, leaving the girl's body nothing but an empty husk. This was at a stage of her development where she attacked and moved impulsively. She was 13 and Naruto had tasked her to knock out her opponent, the stone kunoichi, with nothing but a set of kunais and shurikens, but somehow a drop of blood landed in her mouth and she lost her mind. Naruto had to stop her before she succumbed to her bloodlust. When she finally came to, she felt so ashamed. She was afraid to speak to him for days. At her insistence, he taught her how to sneak up on an unsuspected target, and she would only drain a bit of blood from their neck. The effects were the same of her injecting her own blood in their body. One drop of her opponent's blood, whether accidental or not, was enough to end any fight. The problem was, with all of her skills, biting the neck of her opponent became harder and harder as the opponent kept on getting stronger and stronger. One fateful week after a group of wins that she was doing good, she became overconfident. The memory of that was enough to make her pause and groan, rubbing her forehead. Well, she was 16 and she was cocky. She had challenged her teacher, Naruto, to a all-out fight. Her reason to this was a proof to him that she could stand shoulder to shoulder with him in battle. Her idea was after defeating her master, she would convince him to retire, and she would spend the rest of her life protecting him. Well, that was the plan. Her abilities were overpowered. They should be more than enough to defeat her master, right? She had been so arrogant that day. It took everything in Naruto's being to not laugh at her. She was so damn cute, and he kept on reminding her about that many times in the battle that she challenged him to. But she didn't stand a chance. He had put her in a submission hold, and he told her to give up, but no matter what, she never did. She ended up passing out right in his arms. The next day she had came back rather humble and begging for more training. The beating had humbled her. He admit, even in her state, she did not tap out no matter what. She rather went unconscious. He gave her credit for not giving up. Sawaki coughed in her face as she continued her summary of the Kazekage letter. The value of the Ryu in the sand and the wind is overinflated. Most of the food and commodities are expensive. This is because the desert sand grow nothing for them to eat, little to nothing. So they have to import their food from stone and grass. The traders from the hidden grass are too slow in transporting the goods because they have to pass around the hidden rain and pass by the border of Fire Country. And the traders of the hidden stone increase the price of their goods, knowing that the sand depend on it. That is what your spy were able to gather from a little digging, no investigation or library studies. They observe all of that from a little watching from the top of the building, she said. She brought out a few pictures that the spies had taken of the buildings. They looked like clay bricks, as all of them were mostly just brown. People did anything to get food. The poverty there was apparent. The Wind Daimyo seemed not to really care about the state of his own country, his own ninja village in his country. Naruto felt sorry for them, but he wasn't obligated to help. Not yet anyway. This was all information the Kazekage has not divulged. But Naruto had to look into it to make sure that the Kazekage don't turn around to betray the hidden darkness. The Sun had a few ninjas, but they were rather strong. Darkness and the Sun were western neighbor, and the route was short, so trading would be done rather quickly. What does the Kazekage want from the alliance? Naruto asked, as Sawaki flipped through two letters. A military and trade alliance, she answered, showing her leader where she circled the main points. What he could say over the letter, that he would allow some of his puppet masters to teach in our school, and give the Sun alone. Did he say how much? Naruto asked. No, but he did say he would go over it once he arrived. What do you think, Sawaki? Naruto asked. I think their intentions are honest, she said. Aside from the fact that we have a few of our people living in the Sun, we had uncovered plans of the Sun begin to construct an open, large-scale farm with loamy soil that are able to grow crops rather quickly. But they do not have the extra manpower to dig up the sand or import the soil. The best place to set up this farm is near stone or rain, close to dark country. As Naruto understood, the stone would leach off of their farm. They did not know too much about the hidden rain, and it was quite secretive. If the farm is established, funds are not. They will still need prolonged help from my people to maintain it, said Naruto, seeing that they were going to be near dark country when they build this farm. She nodded. I know that if my ninjas are able to utilize the puppet arts, it will be a great boost to my ninja force. But they really can't think I would pour in that much time and that much effort for just puppeteer training. They have coal mines and oil fields, said Sawaki. Oh, said Naruto. Yes, they also have a abundance of herbs, medical herbs, and medical ninjas as well. So that will explain the low mortality rate in the report, despite the hunger and deterioration. Yes, they have been selling oil to Fire and Stone Country for years now, at a deflated price though, because that is the highest they can get. The reason being, other nations saw natural gas as superior to oil. Well, that's stupid, said Naruto. Them thinking natural gas is better than oil. Oil, when properly defined, can be of much better use. Of course, Sensei, she said. If we ally with the sun, we can tar all of our roads, said Naruto. He could actually see a long-lasting alliance with the hidden sun. I predict that the Kazekage will bring all of this up in our little talk. I have written it all down just in case, it's Sawaki. Thanks, we'll devise a strategy for handling the Sun Alliance later. But for this evening, now, he said. As he rubbed his head, Kiri, he said. Like with the Sun and River, where they allowed Darkness Ninjas had scouted out their territory, but they were not told the secret. The Mizukage had allowed Naruto scouts to look around. The ninjas were respectful enough to not look for any trouble by digging too deep. The reports were passed through to Sawaki and then to Naruto. There are only 3 locations that is, how should I say it, blessed with Bloodline users. Konoha, Kiri, and Darkness, said Naruto as he lists them off. Any other place have at least 1 or 2 clans. Some of them have no bloodline at all, like Kumo or the Snow. But they aren't any less dangerous. Kumo was up there in the top hidden villages, but yet they had no bloodline users at all. A village just need bloodline users to be strong, but if they have them, they are to be treasured. Sadly, Kiri doesn't honor their bloodline users. Yes, Sensei, she says. She pointed out in the reports. Fighting, squabbles. A lot of it happened between clans there. The Mizukage said that it's a way to keep them as close comrades to show that they can fight within the clan or without, but still have peace. It is quite surprising that this has not started to a civil war. No lives were lost in this, and not much property damage either. The Kirin ninjas are decent people. They help a lot of refugees from darkness. When the war had started at its peak, it's a way for them to deal with their emotions. She kind of understand what he was saying, so they battle between each other, but they are still at a point where they know that they must not draw each other blood, to the point where they would endanger their life. Yes, it is a way to release your pent-up emotions. How do you deal with your suppressed anger? I hunt animals in dark forest, she said. Good. How about you, sensei? I eat. That explained a lot, she said, as two buns went up to his mask and they were gone, despite him not removing it. Emotions make people do rash things. If I succumb to my emotions and kill Orochimaru and Tsunade, video or not, we would have been drove into a brick wall by Konoha. Uzo would have helped, but the devastation would erase any development that we had made so far, and any we would have made. Do you understand? He asked. Yes, sensei, she said. As they talk back at Konoha, he has a security camera? So what? Why didn't you kill him either way? Said Saratobi. 2 reasons, said Orochimaru, as Tsunade slumped down into one of the chairs in front of the Kake's decks. If I had moved into the kill, the Naruto student would have control over us. We still don't know the full range of her abilities, whether she could use her blood to steal information from our brains or not. The point is, we would be used as enemies against a hidden leaf. They were Sanin, meaning everyone knew that they were from Konoha. If she had used them to attack other people and even their own allies, that would be really bad. Not to mention if she manipulated them to attack the Hidden Stone or Kumo, another war would spark up. And the second, asked Hiruzen. I suspect that Naruto might have been impervious to the effects of me being close to him even while I was in sage mode. Hiruzen narrowed his eyes. His killer intent was draining our life forces. If he's able to do that, then who's to say that he wouldn't be able to escape? And when he does escape and Sawaki has her blood in her system, he would raise the village to hell. And your head, sensei, will be the first to rule, not even ours. I see. My advice to you, sensei, said Tsunade, as she looked up. Drop this feud that you have with Naruto. Feud? Orochimaru murmured as he wondered if that was the right word to describe what was the situation between Hiruzen and Naruto. But Tsunade ignored that. Whirlpool has allied with darkness, and any attack on darkness would be passed on, and that would lead straight back to Lady Mito. Hiruzen understand what that meant, going up against darkness. They were also going to go up against Uzu as well, and that would cause problem. For one thing, the Kyuubi. Yes, Konoha would lose the Kyuubi, and Konoha would lose Uzu. They would lose the fight. Naruto must have thought about all of this, but still he never pressed for war. How considerate, Hiruzen said in a sarcastic tone. Fine, we leave Dark Country alone for now. Just then the door slammed open, and Koharu rushed in. Hiruzen, you have to hurry. What is it? It's Lady Mito, Koharu said, as she pointed to the window. As Hiruzen turned to see a dark shadow looming from the Senju gate towards Konoha's south gate. A boy was behind her. He looked to be in his teen. He had orange hair that was cut in the shape of a bowl, as he was carrying some bags behind Mito. There was a girl behind her as well, orange hair, and she looked just like the boy. She wants to visit darkness. I can't hold her back anymore. Orochimaru plopped down in the seat as Tsunade leaped out of her own as Hiruzen blazed through the door. Hiruzen cursed. They just might be losing the Kyuubi already, as he quickly made his way after her. Time skip, as both Naruto and Sawaki were looking at the man. All of them were hard at work, as they were currently digging down deep, as they were going to construct the tower right here. As Naruto turned as he saw someone running towards him, one of the Chunins moving as fast as he possibly could. The man arrived as he quickly bowed. My lord, 3 people are approaching from Fire Country. Who? Lady Mito and 2 Kurama clan attendants. Then let them in, he asked. He didn't know what all the fuss was about. Tsunade Senju is demanding that she enter with her. Naruto rolled his eyes. He turned towards Sawaki. She nodded as she started to walk off. As Naruto bursts and vanished, Sawaki was going to get a guest house for the Kyuubi holder. Time skip. As Naruto emerged from the shadow of one of the chunins near the gate, the man quickly fell back in fear. As he calmed down, he realized it was his leader, because that completely caught him off guard. The black smoke leaving his white cloak as he moved. The old Uzumaki was at the gate, tapping her foot on the ground angrily as she was being denied entry. She looked on with a small smile when she saw him. She hadn't even heard or felt him come. As he made his way and stopped before the woman, Tsunade, holding the back of her grandmother's elbow at the attempt of holding her back, narrowed her eyes at Naruto. She remembered his promise very well. Despite the twisting feeling she felt in her stomach, she looked directly at him. Said Mito, as Naruto's eyes flicked at her. Pardon my sudden visit, Lord Naruto. It's fine, he said. Your brother told me that you were coming, but I just imagined that you'll be coming alone. Her two attendants, the Kurama guards, shuffled a bit away as they bowed their head. I don't mind that you brought these two with you, not at all. I mind her, he said, as he glanced towards Tsunade. I didn't want her to come anyway, said Mito as she looked towards Tsunade. She had managed to bark Hero's Ninja down into submission, but her granddaughter demanded that she come along. I don't know what the trouble is. I can handle myself very well. Naruto looked towards the two teens. Please, take her things in the village. Someone will show her where to stay. Yes, Lord Naruto, they said. I apologize for my attitude, Lady Mito. As he gave her a sharp bow. Please, come in, he said. The woman moved forward, but she was pulled back by Tsunade. As she turned to look at her. Tsunade, honey, I have 2 kids, 3 grandkids, but none of them stopped me from visiting my brother. Her younger brother, Torun, had welcomed Naruto into the family. In the letter that Torun said to her, he had continuously called Naruto his brother. Why are you so worried? Asked Mito. She think I'm gonna steal a Kyuubi, or worse, convince you to stay forever, said Naruto. Susu, come on now. Konoha is the village the love of my life created. Why would I ever abandon it? I'm not letting you go. Mito sighed. I'm sorry for the inconvenience, Lord Naruto. Oh, it's fine. It happened in a split second as Tsunade saw darkness. The next thing she knew, Naruto was now standing where Mito was a moment ago, holding Tsunade by the face. I just don't like Konoha ninjas, as he pushed her back. What do you have to worry about, Slug, he said. She's a sister of a close comrade of mine, and your wretched village has one of my clans. Not a day went by when Naruto didn't worry about the Kurama clan, as he would send messages to them confirming their safety and if they were fine. When it came to their retrieval, it was, well, kind of tricky. The Kurama clan wasn't exactly a small clan, so sneaking them all out with his ninjas' help was, well, a great task. And not to mention the monster that they were keeping under their protection, Mania. The people of the Kurama clan couldn't touch the holder of the demon, and they could not be more than half a mile away from the holder unless the slumbering demon would wake up. The Kurama clan had prominent Yang release, which they could use. They could use them in their genjutsus to utilize weapons that they can craft from paintings. Their mere presence near to the young Kurama girl was enough to calm the demon down and put it to sleep. This led Naruto to convince the Kurama clan head to stay within Konoha. They were going to be his eyes behind enemy lines. Umura, Kurama, the clan head, agreed. Anything for their leader. You have nothing to worry about, said Naruto. The threat of Mania was imminent, yes, but the people of the Kurama clan was still more important. He didn't mean to devalue Mito Uzumaki, but honestly, the Kurama clan was more higher up on his list of priorities, even higher than the Kyuubi. He turned around and placed a hand on Mito's back as he led the woman into the country. His hand was placed on her lower back. The gesture wasn't to be perverse in any way, seeing that the 8-year-old woman could crush his head by simply flicking her elbow. This is not the end of it, brat, Tsunade yelled, pointing a vengeful finger at the retreatable young man and her remarkable young-looking grandmother. Camp out here if you like, I don't care, said Naruto over his shoulder. Was that teleportation you used back there, Mito said. discarding how her granddaughter was treated by her surrogate brother. She was unaware of the bad blood between Konoha and darkness. She was appalled by how the third had influenced the daimyo to subjugate darkness. It was probably when none of her children or her grandchildren raised that issue, and she was the only one who saw that this was bad. Oh no, said Naruto. I was just running really fast. That is awfully fast. It was like you used a body switch technique. You could say that was my own sunshine, he said. As the both of them were walking through the streets of the developing country, Naruto's body smoked sunshine involving him using his water lightning creation smoke. As he used a lightning release, as he could literally move at the speed of light, close to that, his body crumbling into smoke. He then shifted that smoke into lightning, which he used to move insanely fast. I thought you said it wasn't teleportation. Sunshine isn't teleportation, he said. The woman laughed. I see. I was under the impression that you knew all that it was to be a ninja, he said. Well, I only know about the ceiling arch, she said. As they walked through the northern area, the northern area was populated by 4 clans. 2 of them being the defensive Bloodline clans, the Yado and the Hato clans. Another clan that had a wasp controlling ability that could be classified as a Bloodline, the Susamibaki clan. And the last one that Naruto suspected that he was from, the Komori clan. They were the ones with the smoke release users. That was the 4 clans that was currently populating this area. At the east and south, they share one clan, the Pantan Sentients. Most of the clan members of that clan could shapeshift into pantas of various kinds. And in the west was the Triunki Ink clan. That was a clan that Sawaki was from. The Kurama clan was formerly in the east until they were uprooted to Konoha. That was the layout of darkness. And the place was rather large. It was a 2-hour trip if walking from the north. And Mito insisted that she didn't want to take a carriage, she wanted to walk. So they conversed as they did. Despite 4 clans sharing this north area, it was rather quiet. The most of the noise was coming from a rather large playgrounds where the kids was, and the park beside it where the adults watch over their kids. Mito's eyes sparkled when she saw some older Uzumaki playing shogi with some of the clanless members. They spent a few minutes talking to them before they proceeded. Hoshirama would have loved this place. Dare I say even Tobirama, said Mito. She sighed tiredly and shook her head. I don't understand why Hiruzen wants to destroy this piece. It is so nice here. He is addicted to the taste of my country resources, said Naruto. And if you like the north so much, you will exactly love the east even more. The Panta Senshis clan are notorious for being master chefs. True to his words, the shape-shifting clan was proficient in the arts of cooking. Their food was in so much demand there was always caravans traveling from north to the east. Then we can go see the exhibition tomorrow. The younger artists are trying their hands in pottery. Your brother tell me how much you like pottery art. Mito beamed at that. So my brother is also conspiring with you, she said. Naruto nodded, not even trying to deny it. Yep. Nice try, Lord Naruto, she said, as she punched his arm, as Naruto felt it. Was it because that she had the Kyuubi that gave her this monstrous strength? Or was it because in the clans of Uzumaki that everyone, well almost, had some distinguished chakra? Hers was the most special of the clan. Please, just Naruto is fine. I'm still not used to all this lord thing. Then call me Mito if you please, she said. Of course, he said. Torun once told me that you helped smuggle me and my parents out of this country. She looked down fondly with a smile. You're very close to Torun, aren't you, she said. He's quite a talkative person, said Naruto with a smile. He didn't quite remember that it was Mito, but he did remember the bright red hair and sparkling purple eyes. I didn't know that you were a ninja, Mito, he said. It was during a visit to Dark Country. The second Shinobi War was brutal, and the Civil War was merciless here. She was with one of her sons, visiting the royal clan, when she saw one of the royal clan members was about to execute Naruto's father. They had already executed Naruto's uncle. Her son provided a distraction while she swept Naruto's family out and brought them towards the Rain Country. They claim it was because you all stole from them. But I'm a sensor, you see, so I could feel your unique smoke release. You and your uncle and your father was the one with the water lightning smoke variation, while your mother has the natural smoke release. And I couldn't stand by and just watch them unjustly extinguish human life. He probably blocked the memory out, seeing that he was just a kid back then. For good reason as well, after all. Watching his uncle being propped down, his head sliced off right in front of him. And his father was being pulled down as well. I am in a lot of trouble with yours, Mito said, with a small laugh. Naruto stopped and turned to her. She stopped and looked up at him as well. He placed his hand on her shoulder. I may not be able to convince you to leave Konoha for here. I may not be able to convince you to stay here forever. But I wanted to know. The way he spoke, and the sincerity and look in his eyes. You always have a home here. Thank you, Naruto, she said. As they proceeded with their walk. None of this would have been possible if it wasn't for you, he said. How long will you be staying here, to ask? 2 weeks. I will need to be back in Konoha to welcome my successor. Your successor? The next person to hold the Kyuubi. Didn't my Torun tell you? No, he didn't, said Naruto. He must have thought it wasn't something important to worry you. My granddaughter Kushna is the next one I'll be passing the Kyuubi to. Is that so? Tamaki, Kushna's mother, told me that Kushna put up a fuss. She really wanted to come here. She's a good kid, said Naruto. How did you decide who? Get to hold the Kyuubi next, he asked. There are certain people in my clan that possess an extraordinary chakra. The kind of chakra that can hold down the Kyuubi as long as a Jinchuriki life is. A Jinchuriki is one that has a TLB seal in them, she clarified. I see. Naruto kneeled down as a small boy had tripped, as he helped him up and dust off his shirt. The boy hugged onto his teddy bear, not even bothered crying, as Naruto sent him off to his parents. He waved back to them as they bowed. As he looked back to Mito, I thought, all Uzumakis had strong chakra. Well, by normal standard, yes, our chakra is strong. The thing is, one person still cannot hold him. She held up her right hand as a thin golden chain came out and wiggled in the air. No one but a Uzumaki with an especially strong chakra can physically manifestate their chakra, as Naruto knew how rare that was. Kushna manifested her chakra chains last month. What if no person has that special chakra, he asked. She smiled. There's always someone. What if there's no one, he asked. Then we divide the power and chakra of the Kyuubi amongst my clan, one tail for each person. If there are no Uzumakis available, then we pray. Someone create a new seal. The 9 tails is that powerful, huh? Like you won't even believe, said Mito. I've seen powerful, said Naruto. I fought Hanzo and his salamander summons. Alone, Mito thought in her mind. It's hard to believe anyone is more powerful than that, said Naruto. I hope you never encounter the Kyuubi, Naruto, she said. They walked quietly until Naruto asked the question. Isn't it hard to contain the beasts, even with their special chakra? You seem to be interested in the Kyuubi, she said. I want to know as much. So, if there is a possible attack, I will have a lasting solution. She scratched her chin. Well, you need to understand. The Kyuubi. Its chakra is evil. It is literally evil. The chakra is made out of malice, rage, negativity. It is so potent and poison that being around it would give anyone chakra poison. The seal I use isolates the Kyuubi's chakra from my core, so it is unable to influence my chakra system, and pin down the Kyuubi at the same time as well. That is not enough to keep it away though, so what I do is very simple. I fill myself with happiness and love. Happiness and love, said Naruto. Yes, it counters the beast's negative chakra and keep it rather docile. Naruto was surprised, more than he had ever been in his entire life. So, happiness and love keep the Kyuubi from breaking out? Yes. For the life of him, Naruto couldn't wrap his head around her words. I don't understand. Why don't you understand? Happiness and love aren't real in the sense that they can't be touched, unlike the Kyuubi's chakra that can. Yet it can be felt. Tell me right now, can you touch the Kyuubi's chakra? No. Can you feel it? No, he said. The seal I use can only tie down the Kyuubi, not suppress its chakra. Love and happiness suppress the power. You just have to trust me on this one, she said. Ah, okay. There was a 60 between their age. She looked to be in her 50s, but in reality she was much older than Naruto. As Naruto was a bit unsure how to, deal with her, it was different from Torun, but at the same time similar. I will assign someone to service you for your stay. Won't you be guiding me, she asked. Sorry, but I'll be swamped with meetings for next week. What about that art meeting from before, she said? That will be this evening in the capital. We can go together. Wonderful, she said. But guys, if you ain't subscribed right here, if you want to see the next part of something to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notifications they posted. But I'm off for now. See you guys soon. Peace.